There are moments in economic history when something small, something almost invisible at first, changes everything. In 2009, during one of the worst financial crises in modern history, an anonymous figure using the name Satoshi Nakamoto published a document online. It was just 9 pages long. It was technical enough that most people ignored it, but it was radical enough that the few who did read it realized they were seeing the birth of something extraordinary. It was called the Bitcoin Whitepaper, and it introduced a concept the world had never truly seen before: a decentralized, programmable, fully digital form of money that belonged to no government, no bank, and no institution. It seemed impossible. It seemed fringe. It seemed irrelevant. But within a decade, Bitcoin would go from a hobbyist experiment to a global economic asset, to a new kind of digital gold, and eventually a cultural movement, challenging the very foundations of money itself. This is the story of how Bitcoin rose from nothing into a worldwide financial force. To understand Bitcoin, we have to begin long before Bitcoin itself existed, with the problem Satoshi Nakamoto was trying to solve. For decades, computer scientists struggled with a simple question: how can you create a digital currency that cannot be copied or counterfeited? If you send someone a photo or an email, you still keep a copy. But with money, that cannot happen. Money must change hands in a way that is final. Otherwise, the system collapses. Until the early 2000s, the only solution was a central authority, a bank, a server, or a company, keeping a ledger to verify every transaction. Satoshi wanted to eliminate that. They wanted a system where no central authority was needed at all, a system where the network itself verified every transaction, a system where trust did not depend on institutions, but on math, cryptography, and agreement between participants. Bitcoin was the answer to this dream. Satoshi released the Bitcoin Whitepaper on October 31st, 2008, at the exact moment global trust in financial institutions collapsed. Banks were failing. Millions were losing their homes. Governments were bailing out corporations instead of citizens. People everywhere began questioning the entire financial structure. Inside the very first Bitcoin block, known as the Genesis block, Satoshi included a message. It said, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." A quiet but powerful statement. Bitcoin was not created to get rich. It was not created for speculation. It was created as a response, a digital rebellion against centralization, corruption, and financial fragility. In the beginning, Bitcoin was not a currency. It was not an investment. It was not even considered money. It was simply an experiment. Tech hobbyists and cryptographers downloaded the Bitcoin software and mined coins using old laptops and dusty computers. In those early days, Bitcoins had no value. No exchanges existed. Mining was easy, and the community was unbelievably small. Bitcoin received its first unofficial price in 2010, when someone calculated that the cost of electricity to mine one Bitcoin was roughly 0.3 cents. But Bitcoin did not truly become real until one iconic moment. On May 22, 2010, a programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz posted online asking if someone would buy him 2 pizzas in exchange for 10,000 Bitcoins. Someone agreed, and those 2 pizzas, worth about $40 at the time, would later be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Bitcoin Pizza Day became legendary, symbolizing the moment Bitcoin became real money for the first time. Shortly after, early exchanges like MoneyGox launched, allowing people to buy and sell Bitcoin easily. as more people tried the system, something remarkable happened. Bitcoin gained value, slowly at first, then explosively. In 2011, Bitcoin hit $1, then $10, then $30, and then crashed back to $2. The early believers were not discouraged. The volatility was expected. They were not here for profit, but for the mission. Bitcoin was becoming a movement. Then came the first major bubble. In 2013, Bitcoin rose from around $100 to over $1,000 in a matter of months. Suddenly, Bitcoin was on every news channel. People who had never cared about economics or cryptography were calling it the future of money. But with this boom came problems. Mt. Gox, the exchange handling roughly 70% of Bitcoin transactions worldwide, was hacked. Hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins disappeared. Millions of dollars vanished overnight. The exchange collapsed. Bitcoin crashed from over $1,000 back to $200. The mainstream declared Bitcoin dead. Again. But something important happened. Bitcoin survived.